Hi everyone, I'm Jocelyn, and I am grateful you're here. You're listening to the Starting with Gratitude podcast. This is a safe space intended to host meaningful conversations exploring all topics of the human experience. Every conversation starts with gratitude and remains rooted in gratitude. After you listen, make sure to join the community by subscribing and sharing. I am so happy you have joined us. Hey, Dewey.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going really good. As mentioned, I already got some sun in today, went on a hike, prepped for this mentally while I was there.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm feeling good. How's your spirit right now?
My spirit is good. It's the beginning of March. I feel like yesterday was kind of a reset, and I had the opportunity just to kind of take the day to clean and do some self-care. And now I'm feeling ready for the week, feeling
Yeah.
good, feeling
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I've looked at Mondays in that light recently of spending my Monday not necessarily jumping right into work, but like easing into the week and like mentally, spiritually, energetically preparing my space for it.
Yeah, it's Moon Day. It's a day to, get ready for what's to come during the week. And even yesterday when I woke up, I actually was feeling like kind of like a case of the Mondays or whatever. And just because I like to take Sundays off to do nothing, like no work or anything.
Mhm.
So when Monday came around, I was like, oh man, like I have so much to do. And I was so overwhelmed. And what made me feel better was just to take a step back and to clean my space and to write my to-do list for the week and to just spend some time reading and like getting some sun and going grocery shopping.
Mhm.
And then I felt better. I was like, okay, I can handle everything that I have to do because I'm taken care of
Yeah.
and I'm feeling good about everything that was like, I felt like it was very overwhelming, but now I'm like centered and ready to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. So, before we get into our conversation, I'm going to invite you to share with us your gratitude.
Yes. So, first of all, I am really happy that I had the chance to do this because I've seen you doing it daily. And I feel like I have a lot of gratitude, but I kind of like think about what I'm grateful for, and writing it down was a great process for me to really take an extra second to realize how thankful I am. So, here we go. I am grateful to be alive on this planet. I am grateful for my health, for my physical temple. I am grateful for my creative powers. I am grateful for my girlfriend. I'm grateful for my family, friends, and supportive web of fans, admirers, peers, cheering me on and encouraging me to create. I am grateful to live in Los Angeles, working as an artist. I truly live the life I have always dreamed of.
Mm.
I'm grateful for every collaborator, every client, every band and musician that has trusted my vision for their projects. I'm thankful for all the opportunities that are now available to me and those that are currently manifesting. And I'm grateful for all the memories, life experiences, and all the stories that I've gathered on the way.
That's
Thank
that
you.
is so beautifully written. I feel like you just read a poem.
Well, it was a great practice because I knew that I was you know going to prep for this with the list, and I think I've been kind of like thinking about it over the weekend, and then this morning I had a chance to sit down and really just feel the gratitude for being alive, and even the simple things like the cup of coffee this morning and the hot shower, and just really kind of taking a step back and enjoying the simple but really powerful moments, you know.
Yeah. Do you feel like noticing the little things and how the little things are actually big things is something that you recently really gained a perspective on, or do you think, or have you always had that perspective?
Well, I think it's just like a remembering all the time. um I always have had some sort of spiritual lifestyle since I was probably like 16, but in the course of life we forget the things that are true, and then we like kind of go back and remember them. So lately, if I do get overwhelmed, I like to take a step back and enjoy the little things, even if it's a walk in the park. And that little thing, like you said, becomes such a big stress relief and big part of just taking care of yourself. And it's important to remember that, like 10 minutes of meditation or a half an hour of stretching seems like maybe trivial in the course of like everything we have to do, but those are the glue that holds us together.
Yeah, recently when I've found myself to be like really stressed out, or like my mind's been all over the place, or I catch my thoughts kind of going this in this loop, I have been more conscious of stepping back
Hmm.
and not pressuring myself to continue overwhelming myself in the space that I'm already in. And I
Yeah,
feel like that's something that a lot more people should be more mindful of, is figuring out how to refocus their energy onto something that will bring you more ease in that moment.
it's so true. And sometimes we forget that cleaning our room or our apartment or kitchen can kind of do that and kind of reset the space. So that's a tool that I've been, recently using a lot because life is overwhelming, and you really like, I think cleaning is a big stress reliever for me, and it's a simple form of magic because you're transforming your space, in like an hour, however long it takes you to do that. But you are you're physically transforming it and creating a different energy. So if I'm ever feeling stuck and like, I don't want to go for a walk or anything like that, it's like I move some stuff around, I clean, and then all of a sudden it's just way easier for me to get into the zone again.
Yeah. You mentioned that you've had, somewhat of a spiritual lifestyle since you were a teenager.
Yeah.
Why do you mention specifically like when it's like since you were 16?
Well, I think that was when I discovered my mother's copy of Be Here Now by Ram Dass. And like it was always like there, but that was when I like picked it up and started reading it. And I was just like, wow, like this is kind of like affirming that there was like more to just like contemporary reality, in like the late 90s. I wasn't satisfied by like what school was offering or anything. And I just always knew there was like more to life. And I feel like that book kind of opened me up in a way where I was like, okay, like there is a whole, psychedelic movement that happened and spiritual movement. And Ram Dass kind of took both of those things and integrated them, into this book. And I was just blown away. And, I would show my friends and everything and they would catch on later. But it really like left an impression on me as far as, psychedelics and spirituality.
Yeah. I, spirituality and awakening is one of those things where it'll come to you when you're ready.
Yeah.
And, I have found myself approaching more of a curiosity and openness to exploring psychedelics. I've never done it. I've only smoked weed. So I'm curious about, microdosing and
Yeah.
all of that. What is like, could you tell me a little bit more about those experiences?
Yeah, definitely. I think, magic mushrooms are a great tool, especially for creative individuals to kind of unlock their subconscious a little bit and to see a little bit more, more internally, and kind of like it reveals a little bit more of, the spectrum that our senses rely on. So it kind of widens things up a little bit. The colors get a little brighter. The music gets a little bit deeper. You're able to experience things more in the moment, I would say. It kind of unlocks the eternal present and filters a lot of the veils or barriers we have in everyday life from experiencing these moments or these sensations. So it really is kind of like, it's more reductive for me. It takes away blockages and makes me kind of exist more in the present tense. I think that I've used psychedelics as like a spiritual retreat, like, once or twice a year, kind of go into nature and have like a revelatory experience. And there's also microdosing, which is interesting because you can take a tiny amount and you don't really have a trip, but you can kind of access a creative flow state a little easier and kind of like work on creative projects for, a little bit longer than you would be able to normally.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's the difference between shrooms and LSD, like in your experience?
Um, well, shrooms, because they come from the earth, I feel like the magic mushroom is, it's more earthy, it's more physical, it's more kind of like bodily. And LSD, because it's made in the lab, but it is derived from these like, these processes from nature. It tends to be a little bit more predictable and like easier to kind of just like measure and control. But the feeling is very similar, I would say. I think that, there's people like Terrence McKenna who introduced like magic mushrooms to like the Western society at large. I think that he would say they're like completely different, but I would say that they're very similar, in like small quantities at the microdosing level. But when you're doing like a bigger dose, I would say that they definitely have very different qualities. And for me, mushrooms are more emotional and they're more physical and they're more earthy. And I also like, um, sometimes it's like very emotional and it like really like you're like kind of like riding these like waves of like, different feelings. And at a big dose, it can be like a lot for some people, but it's also very therapeutic and healing. So I look at it as like, you have to do it responsibly, and it helps to kind of do it with somebody that has experienced it before.
Yeah.
And I think that it can be very healing, especially when you go into the experience with the intention of having it reveal something to you, or the intention of just kind of like expanding creatively.
Yeah.
So it's, I think of it as a holy sacrament, almost like an art shaman would like use. And, it also goes back hundreds of thousands of years in humans history. Like we have always kind of used different substances to change our perspective and to access different qualities of the divine energy.
Yeah, yeah. What is a profound experience, if you've had one, in doing psychedelics? Or you mentioned it like being it possibly being like a very emotional experience.
Yeah, well, I think that um, a really awesome experience that I had was going to Ojai a couple summers ago with a couple of really close friends of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And we took LSD and had the most amazing time, kind of like um, communing as a group and just like experiencing things together, and really like the friendship and brotherhood vibe was like really strong. And I feel like the LSD had a lot to do with it, because it kind of like takes away any like barriers to communicating, and it allows you to like express yourself a little bit more openly.
Mm.
So that was like a birthday trip I set up for myself with all my best friends, and it was really just affirming. And I was like around just like all my like favorite homies, that, and there was just like a lot of like just like love and brotherhood, and I felt really like close and like strong. And we were all kind of like sharing, it was almost like a reunion. So we were all sharing stories and swapping like different like technique, like spiritual techniques too. Like my friend Chad was showing us like some qigong stuff and how to control the qi, and it was like a spiritual retreat. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's really
So
cool.
yeah, I recommend something like that. And it was really profound, and definitely had an influence on like the years to come after that.
Yeah. How come?
Well, I feel like it opened me up to access new energies within me, and
Mhm.
just to make me kind of like see what I wanted to do more clearly and like go for that.
Yeah, yeah. What would you say is where you're at spiritually right now? Like, do you feel like,
Oh man, I feel like I'm just a baby because I've just started meditating again. So I feel better than I have in a really long time, but I know it's just the beginning of the next chapter of my journey.
mhm,
And meditation has been really nice because I think of it as allowing the dust to settle a little bit and to just exist without so many thoughts swirling around.
yeah.
So now that like the dust is starting to settle a little bit, I kind of want to like just deepen my meditation practice. And I was using Headspace in the beginning. And now that I've kind of like taught myself to meditate again, I feel like I kind of moved beyond wanting to do the prompted meditation and just to do it by myself. But I found that solfeggio healing frequencies are really awesome to listen to while I'm meditating. So I kind of have been using these frequencies to like almost like travel on in a way, or just kind of like breathe with while I'm meditating.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And exercise is definitely a spiritual tool for me to realign my energy and to feel like strong and powerful, and just to empower myself on a daily basis, and to like feel really good about myself. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the keys is like, to be able to help others and to do your work, like we have to take care of ourselves and we have to feel good about ourselves. So you know feeling like really good from exercise, I feel like has allowed things to kind of like my work to get better, my artwork to get better, and everything that I do to get better.
I've been feeling the exact same about exercise and meditation. I've really been diving into binaural beats and
Mm,
accessing those frequencies while meditating, and also working out as a avenue or a tool to exert my energy and not allow stagnancy to be built up.
Yes. And because we're working at the computer so often, it's important to kind of like shake it off a little bit. And sometimes I like to work in the work on design in the morning, and I have to like really make a point to get away from the computer, go outside and go for a walk and get the blood moving, because there's time for that. There's time for, you know, a half an hour, 45-minute walk, like,
Sure.
and that will just make your mind work better. And I feel like when I work out in the morning, first thing, that's like the best way for me to go about my day. And when I get a good workout in, my brain seems to work better, and I can think like so much more clearly.
Yeah. One thing that I have always admired about you is your consistency as an artist. You are always sharing collages and your work, and even now with you just launching Comfort Club, I feel like you're really good at just consistency and like putting things out there in a way that feels natural but is still very present.
Wow.
What, like, from the outside looking in, it seems like you just have a really good relationship with your art and with creating. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I feel like um you know, art really isn't just a job for me. And even though, you know, my livelihood is based upon making artwork for clients and merchandising my artwork, it really is more of a lifestyle. So, um, and it's not really that way for other artists. And sometimes I wish I could turn it off, but I'm always working, and it's not really work though, because I really love to create. And whether it's making a collage, whether it's designing an album cover or putting together a new collection for Comfort Club, or even kind of creative directing a photo shoot, it's really just the process of creation that taps me into the zone and like the flow state. So it's kind of the same thing as like the present or being in the now. It's the act of creating kind of like loosens me up and really allows me to forget about everything else, and allows me to exist and to project my energy on something that I find, you know, useful and valuable. So um I don't really equate what I make to like how I feel, but it's really subtle because I always am producing, and I wake up really early because I'm excited to make more stuff. And sometimes I'm like pulling late nights because I can't stop making stuff. But it's almost like an obsession, and I feel like it works for me because um, you know, I have so many different artistic avenues going on, and I really just feel like they're each just an extension of, you know, different aspects of my practice. So
Mm.
you know, I have like the graphic design and collage and the clothing, and it's all almost like the same thing. I'm just like, I'm just doing my thing and kind of like putting it in the different boxes.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the consistency is part of my work ethic. And you know, I don't know if it has to do with my like, you know, my sign or what, but I'm like very ambitious, and like I'm just never gonna stop chipping away at like the greater vision I have. And like I feel like as an artist, like the greater vision, like we're just always trying to like redefine that. And but I'm always like working towards something bigger, and I'm never satisfied. So I think that also like helps the hustle, because you know, I'm trying to get somewhere, and that finish line keeps on moving, and I'm really just I'm keeping on like working and doing my thing until, you know, until I'm satisfied, which may never happen. But I think that makes me a stronger artist too. It's like, the slight dissatisfaction, just trying to perfect my pieces just makes my work tighter and tighter.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's like what a lot of artists deal with is like, you know, you're just like searching and searching for this like perfect vision that you have in your head, but you're just not quite there yet. And
Yeah.
it's almost frustrating, but it's fueling me to create another series and try to get my vision the artwork to match the vision that I have in my head.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's a
Earlier.
constant quest.
Yeah. Yeah. I have found that it's an interesting relationship regarding like being an ambitious creative and never really being fully satisfied. I think there is a way that that can be healthy.
Hmm.
And as we keep growing, I feel like the vision does continue to evolve. And that's why there is no finish line, because
Yeah.
as you keep growing as an artist, you keep expanding your mind to new things. And because of that, your vision continues to also change.
Yeah.
Why did you mention earlier that you sometimes wish you could turn it off?
Um, well, I think that, I feel like some designers or artists are like, their art is like a day job. It's a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And, when they get home, they're just able to like live like these normal lives and like have like, but like, I feel like I'm much different than that. And I'm just like, always working, like even on vacation. And it's not like a bad thing, but I can see how, you know, it might be nice just to like shut it off,
Yeah.
the ambition to create like every once in a while.
Yeah.
But it's what makes me happy, and I'm really fortunate that what makes me happy also aligns with, my livelihood and a style that people, you know, re- a style that resonates with people that want to hire me. So it's like a perfect balance of doing this artistic exploration and personal work, and then having my future clients see that and hiring me, based upon like what I'm excited about. And it always seems to be like the personal work that I'm chipping away at that gets me the new work. So it's
Mm,
really important that I keep on, finessing and perfecting my techniques for me,
yeah.
because that will just expand my, portfolio, and the clients will see how I'm like, doing exciting things that are, you know, um, just for me. And it's funny, like the personal work, sometimes it feels like sometimes like, why am I doing this? Like, this is not like a project that's getting me paid or whatever, but it's so important to keep on experimenting, especially for me, because, the client work is always going to be coming in, but the personal work is where I get to experiment with nobody telling me what to do, or
Mm,
I get to just really express myself and do some stuff that I would be scared to show a client. But then by doing that and getting really like wild with it, I'm creating like new avenues for me to express design wise. So it's really helpful for me to like just always have like some sort of project on the side. And honestly, like the comfort club thing, um, is almost like that side project for me, because I get to just test out all these ideas and designs, and then whatever I really resonate with, to put it out. So it's cool to have this platform to kind of express myself freely,
mhm.
um, and to just like have this, really like free creative expression.
Yeah. So what does, like really briefly, what does a typical day look like for you? Because if I were to envision it, you, from what you mentioned, you wake up early, you work out, kind of do your morning thing, grab your coffee, and you get to creating. And I just picture you cutting magazines all day and doing collages and browsing through books and
Yeah.
touching on like the client stuff, of course.
Well, it's funny because I I do have like a typical day in that I do wake up early and
Mhm.
have some sort of like morning meditation and then work out at least like half of the week. Um, but depending on what day it is, kind of dictates what I'm doing. And I think, my girlfriend had a lot to do with that. She was just kind of telling me about each day and what kind of energies they kind of encapsulate. And that's why on Mondays, I've been kind of like taking it back a step and writing out the to-do list and cleaning and doing self-care because it's moon day and it's a day to kind of like restore yourself and take that day. So yeah, like I kind of have been using each day, and each day dictates what I'm going to be doing that day. So Monday, I do like really light to-do list stuff, and then on Tuesday, I will take action and I will start the week's designs and I will start the communication process with clients. On Wednesday is a big communication day for me. I'll take a lot of my calls on Wednesday and I'll do a lot of my emailing and just touching base with like a lot of my clients and my manager.
Mhm.
Um, and um, on Thursdays, it's kind of the same thing. I like to do something, for myself on Thursday that has to do with some kind of like higher learning. Like I'll like have like a work day, but I'll also kind of like study something or like I'll read something for a while. And on Friday is like a big like kind of like workout day for me, and like just like a big like studio day too. Like there's like a lot of energy on Fridays to like get like dressed up and do like a big work day and kind of just feel like really good and powerful about everything. And on
Mhm.
Saturdays I kind of like wrap up the week and have like a half weekend, half work day, and
Yeah.
Sunday I take off.
Yeah.
And like the design really falls in like the design process really gets intense on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I would say I do most of my design work, and then on like the beginning days of the week, I'll do my collage work, my personal work. So
Mm.
for me, mapping it out instead of trying to do everything in one day, every day, I use different days to work on different projects, and I kind of have it's really helped me take control of my time because it can be really overwhelming when I have so many ideas that I want to execute in one day. But if I know that I have a particular day to do a particular thing, it helps me manage my time.
Mhm.
And that's like my new thing. Like I never want to say I'm busy anymore because I feel like when people say they're busy, it just sounds like they're out of control and like they don't have
Right.
control over their time and they're like swimming in projects and they don't know what to do. And that's just something that this year I've been changing, and I've been guilty of saying that I'm busy in the past, like I'm so busy, like, but
Yeah.
that's just not my wave anymore. I'm just really like trying to take my time and do things um, and control the time the way I want to control it.
I will say that I myself, in the energy exchanges that we've shared, you do feel more at ease and more with the flow in the past couple of months. I have noticed
Mm,
that.
yeah.
I too recently learned about the significance of each day, and I'm currently in that process of aligning myself to the significance of those days.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful because we all have so many different things going on. But if you know that Sunday, you just take the day for yourself, it also allows you to not feel guilty about taking time for yourself. And if you have the boundaries and the schedule set up, then you can really allow yourself to kind of decompress on those days that you set up.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look at rest as something that they fear in a sense, or they see as unproductive, because really the truth of the matter is, like, there is a way that you can find this balance, but you have to structure your time. Like, that's where it's at. Like, if you can really be determined to create a schedule that allows for rest and allows for work and all of that, and you're very strategic about it, like you said, when you do come to resting, you won't feel guilty because you know that you have this time allotted for the work and the clients and all of that. So I'm glad that you are
Yeah, and it's kind
training.
of nice. And like one tool or like exercise that I do that's just been helping me is just visualize what you have to do and visualize yourself doing it easily without any trouble. And like it kind of like gets the gears going, and I allow myself just to kind of like slip into my duties because I've already like gone through them in my head, and it's way easier. Um, but yeah, like visualization is a technique that I use all the time because I want to visualize myself as like the best version of myself. So kind of like thinking about what that is and trying to be that.
What does the best version of yourself look like? What is your current vision of Dewey?
I mean, the highest, best version of myself is, a little fitter, totally at peace, just somebody that people can count on for a feeling of peace and comfort and friendship and companionship, and someone that is trustworthy and kind and generous and full of love and light and good vibes.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. You're already on your way. You're already there.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're all we're all on the way to our best versions of ourselves.
Something that just came to my mind that I want to bring up is, I think it was towards the end of last year, maybe, or maybe it was further back. You were investing time in producing music.
Yes,
Or
yeah.
was
So
that like way long ago? My time is kind of warped
um
right now.
no, I released 4 tracks with a couple of the homies in at the end of 2019. So it's
Right.
been like almost a year and a half now. But yeah, music is something that I've done for a very long time, even before art. And it's kind of funny because it's almost like a past life for me, but it's always been either in the background or something that I've been just doing on the side. So um, it's music is a huge part of me, and I think that's kind of like why I do what I do, because I wanted to be involved in the music industry. And I didn't know it wasn't going to be as a music artist, but I I am working in the music industry in a capacity that is just mind blowing to the teenage version of myself. So yeah, like music is just a big part of my life, and it informs a lot of my artwork too. So it's kind of like another medium, it's almost the same expression of that energy. um so yeah, like about like my music, I definitely plan on releasing more of it, and a lot of my collaborators are in Philadelphia. So when I'm back on the East Coast in Philly, that's when I'm usually in the studio, and we definitely even have like new songs that are like being prepped right now. So yeah, like stay tuned, because there's definitely like some surprising material for people. They're gonna be like, wait, what? Like Dewey does music too?
Yeah.
And like, it's just funny because at a certain point I had to choose between art and music in a certain capacity. I remember in like 2015 or 2016, I was doing music in Philly, like doing a lot of shows and putting music out and doing artwork. And it was like a lot. And then when the Anderson Malibu project came through and I had to work on that, that was almost like when I decided to take art like more seriously and to like invest all of my time into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a kind of a hard decision to make, but it was almost based on like money in a way. I was like, I need to make a career that's gonna like, you know, be something. And I felt like, you know, doing the album covers was just more stable and something that I could definitely do. And music was something that, even though I love doing it professionally as a career, I started to have second thoughts, and I was just like, let's refocus and let's put all of my like energy into this one basket for now. And I think like in retrospect, I'm like, you know, it's a little bittersweet, but I'm really happy that I did choose to just go full force with the artwork, because I've reached, you know, success at heights I've never really imagined before. So I think that's like, there's something to be said, like, you know, we're all multi-talented, but it helps to focus. Like at a certain time, like I can still do music, but it helps to focus on like one thing at a time and to watch it grow, and to invest your energy in something that you believe in and that you feel really good about. So like, it was a hard decision, but I'm really happy that I made that decision, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. Thank you
But
for
now I
sharing.
get to do music as a hobby or like a side project passion, and it's better than I, you know, better than I even imagined. So it's like funny, like it's like there's no attachment to make money from it, and that's why like I'm having more fun making music than ever, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought of that because I remembered that that was something you were working on, and I was wondering if you had like completely just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, no, I was like freestyling in the shower earlier, and I'm not gonna lie, like it was fire. So it's just like, it's something that kind of just informs my lifestyle, you know, like I grew up on hip hop and rap, and just that's just what I love.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I also admire about you is how you are a very resourceful person, and you are someone that is um in the way that I say resourceful is like you actually share resources sometimes on your
Hmm.
socials, but also you'll share a lot of your personal work, which allows people to see your creative process, but also you'll share some ideas that you have sometimes. And for
Yeah.
me, sometimes I feel called to ask you, like, you don't come off as someone who's like afraid to put your ideas out there for people to see. You know, like I feel like a lot of people are
Yeah.
afraid to share their ideas or are afraid for others to know their ideas. And I'm sure you're not like, I'm sure you keep things to yourself, but
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think that being like an open source of information is important for the artist community. And I don't know if I was always like this, but in the past years, I've been very open to collaboration and very open to sharing my knowledge and resources. And I've had a lot of friends and people that I've met on Twitter and just online share resources with me. So I think it's my responsibility to pay it forward to other artists as well. And I feel like it doesn't make sense to hoard or hide anything. And like, I have ideas for projects that I won't share because, you know, there it's just, it's my idea for something that's just new and different. But I love sharing public domain resources or like websites for like designs and fonts. I think that's important, especially for younger designers, just to have access to that kind of stuff. And that's what the internet is for anyway. It's like there's no sense of hiding anything. You know what I mean? Like we should be sharing as much as possible, trying to build everybody up as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, like, we don't make it until everybody makes it, you know? Like, I
Yeah.
want to see all of my homies thriving, and I'll do what I have to do to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Speaking of, you know, recent years, I slightly do want to touch on this past year that we had. What impact did this past year have on you, whether professionally, personally, mentally? Like, what changes did it
Mm.
bring for you?
Um, well, I think that it was just a grand reset, and we were all forced to examine what we were doing, even just on like a human level. And it was important. I'm not going to say that it was like a good or like a great year, but it was an important year for growth. And you know, I found physical fitness again, and I re-empowered myself physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So it
Mm.
was an important year for me personally to take a step back and to work on myself and to rebuild myself and to reprioritize the things that were important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, like amidst like the uncertainty and the chaos, I actually found a lot of like inner strength through it all.
Mm. Yeah. You recently got into a relationship. How has that experience been during these times?
You know, it's been really healing and therapeutic just to be able to connect with somebody that's on my level spiritually, or probably beyond me, but just somebody that I can like really be with intimately and understand on a whole another level, and learn from, you know. So it's been very enlightening experience,
Mm.
very expansive and very creative and healthy experience.
Yeah.
um yeah, just nice feelings of like wholeness and completion, and yeah, it's just been um really beneficial for my growth as an artist as well, just to be able to um tap into some new energies and to express myself freely, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been curious about, you know, navigating intimate relationships during this time. And I think this year there's probably more ease because the energy last year was very heavy, intense.
Yeah.
So I was just curious about how your experience has been, and I'm glad that it feels very wholesome.
Yeah, no, it's you know, being healthy is really like my goal, because I feel like that just equates to happiness, you know.
Yeah, for
So
sure. I want to, you know, before we bring this conversation to a close, I want to take advantage of you being um, open and willing to talk about the loss of your dad, because I can relate to that. I also, you know, have experienced in this lifetime losing my father at what I believe we're still at a very young age. How do you feel his loss has impacted you? I know that as we get older, the impact kind of changes over time.
Yeah. Well, I have a candle lit on the altar I made for him right now. So my relationship with him has deepened in the past few months, and I've been like talking to him more and kind of calling in more memories and communication,
Mm-hmm.
and opening myself up to communicating with him through means that cannot be explained or understood.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that death is kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people that, makes people uncomfortable, which is understandable. But something that I have always told people is that I actually like when people ask me about my dad and
Yeah,
ask me what he was like and what our memories were, because that's how you keep
yeah,
them alive.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can relate to that too. I'm always down to talk about my dad or like stories or just, and sometimes I feel like I might bring him up too much, but it's only because it's my way to keep his memory alive.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'll just feel his energy and I'll just be talking about him, and like it helps me keep those memories fresh. And kind of like the more you talk, like the more memories you can that like are jogged or whatever, that kind of unlock. So it's actually really important for me to keep on searching for even like forgotten memories, because that's like what we have to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And lately I've been just fascinated by the person he was,
Mm-hmm.
and fascinated by how similar I am to him,
Mm-hmm.
and that genetics are just such an interesting thing, because not only do I feel his presence on like a non-physical realm, but I also feel him in me on like a purely like physical realm, because we're copies, genetic copies of our parents, and we're so similar to them
Mm-hmm.
in ways that we can't even understand. So by celebrating ourselves, we're celebrating them too,
For
and
sure.
just like continuing the work that they allowed us to do. And I feel like I'm continuing in his footsteps. Like he kind of showed me the path that I'm now like forging through.
Yeah. Yeah. I've also been, especially lately, having like accessing more memories that were kind of lost,
Yeah.
especially during this kind of spiritual experience that I've been having this season in my
Yeah.
life, like remembering random things that he would do spiritually as well, where I'm
Hmm.
realizing now, like, wow, that was like a very spiritual thing of him to do. And at the time, I didn't even realize it. But now, as I'm
Really.
older, it's like I do see the similarities, and it is like, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, bless both of those men's lives, because here we are,
Yeah.
and yeah, I had a really profound experience at the end of last year where I was able to pick up a lot of my dad's paintings from the old collector,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like right below San Francisco. So I have about 20 of his paintings that my whole family thought were kind of like, out of the family's collections for good. So it's been a really kind of like cosmic connection with him, seeing his artwork and being able to just like, hold his creative energy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that, I think that was a major boost for me, and a major like connection with him. And ever since that happened, I've been feeling like more connected to him. So
Yeah. That's beautiful.
yeah, that's really cool.
Well, this was a beautiful conversation. And
Yeah,
I love seeing this path that we're on. I love continuing to see you just unfold and expand as an artist. And um, I'm genuinely grateful to have aligned with you and to be able to exchange energy with you in the way that we have and that we are. So
likewise.
thank you
Thank you for
for
having me.